right, so this is always awkward because we are broadcasting this MSP episode on the Silicon channel because Mac is not here this week. Not the first time this season that this happened. Don't know if it's going to be the last time this season.
Doubt it.
We still got, 6 or 7 episodes to go through?
Something like that.
But I don't know. He said he had too much to do this week. So anyway, I'm your full-fledged host for this week, Adam. Joining me are Petty, Golix, and Kevin. And
we're here.
Yeah. And I suppose we shall get to the news. So, deferring to MSP order, I shall go first. Well, my big news is I had to visit the ER over the weekend because the swelling in the finger that I mentioned last week turned out to be an infection, a fairly serious one at that. Caught it in time before it managed to get into my arm and bloodstream. Thankfully, I got the insurance to cover that procedure.
That's good. We like our blood uninfected.
Yes. It's nothing that some minor surgery and antibiotics aren't curing. Thankfully, it's a bacterial infection, so antibiotics are actually working. Versus a viral infection, which antibodies aren't going to do shit against. That's my news for the week. Kevin, over to you.
Well, as is per typical, it's pretty much a very breezy situation for me. Just a simple case of saying that I work at the AMC theaters every week, and this week is going to be pretty big because our new GM comes in, so it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. But other than that, nothing really much going on here. So next.
All right. Petty?
Not too much to report. Going to see about getting a knee brace next time I see my orthopedic doctor. And because of my mom's new job, she works at a prosthetic / kind of like custom orthotic clinic. As long as I can get a prescription, they can custom build me a knee brace. So hopefully it can protect my knee better just in case I fall again. And yeah, more Digimon card game stuff happening next week. So yeah, not a whole lot this week. So next victim.
Hey, Golix, that'd be you.
Guessing he muted.
Give him a second.
Sorry, this is a week with significant schedule variations. We had an all-staff meeting on Monday that I had to wake up early for, and then this Saturday, we're finally doing my grandmother's memorial service, and that is going to be not at actually a particularly early hour, but it's out of state, so I have to get up early for the transportation purposes. So not super looking forward to that, but that's the biggest thing. Video game wise, the next Splatfest for Splatoon 3 has been announced in-game, has been announced out of game, but not in-game yet. And we're doing dark versus milk versus white chocolate for Valentine's Day, which should be interesting. I have not quite decided whether I'm team dark chocolate or milk chocolate. I generally prefer milk chocolate, but dark chocolate is a cool purple color, which I like, so we'll see. Sunday Macross with Mac has gone well for another week, and we are pretty sure we're within a couple of episodes of the end of the game for that. So that'll be nice to move on to something else soon, hopefully.
Right, and I suppose we're going to save ourselves a good 10 to 15 minutes since Mac isn't here this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because, usually he has a lot of news of all of us, but
right, but he is not here this week, so, well, merrily we shall move along to the interview portion of the broadcast. And joining us this week are Thomas Hale, Nathan Wagner, and Ty Osborne of the Not So Secret Academy.
Hello.
Right. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing great. I had a good day. It's cold where I am right now. I'm from Canada, so it's been rather cold, so I stayed inside. And I had done some work in the Not So Secret Academy, so can't complain.
All right.
Nice. Ooh.
Well, it's good that you're not frozen.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's see. All right. So I suppose we should start with what is the Not So Secret Academy?
So the Not So Secret Academy is an animated show that me and a lot of voice actors and Well Productions is producing. It's a story about a secret agent that is actually terrible at everything that he does. He doesn't know how to pick a lock. He doesn't know how to infiltrate anything. He always gets caught. And so he fails in a very important mission. And then his father, who is the director of the secret agency, sends him to this rehabilitation program called the Not So Secret Academy. So it's in a school where he's going to have to learn everything about being a good agent, how to defend himself, how to disguise, how to know if someone is lying, etc., etc. And so we follow the story of this secret agent, and in that school he makes a lot of friends, and he also makes a lot of enemies. And there's this serial killer on the loose who is trying to shut down this whole secret agent and secret agency stuff by going up against these secret agents at the Not So Secret Academy. So this new wave of secret agents doesn't happen, and he stops them once and for all. So you don't know who is this serial killer. That's kind of like the whole premise of the show. It's an investigation, it's a suspense, but it's also super funny. It's got a lot of action, a lot of heart, and we're all very excited to show this to everyone.
yeah.
Okay. Right then. So I suppose we should begin at the beginning. In that, why did you want to create this as an animated series?
Right. Funny you should say that. Actually, when I first started writing this show, it was supposed to be an audio series, kind of like a narrative podcast.
Right.
And it was supposed to be that. But then once I started casting all the characters and started producing the first episodes, and I've got all the recordings in, we just had so much potential and such a good material that we just had to do more with it. And so I was thinking of a way to give it some visuals, and I wasn't sure what to do. And then I thought, yeah, animation sounds great, but animation requires a lot of time and a lot of money, and I'm a one-man army when it comes to this production. So I found a way to animate it with the sprites and frame-by-frame animations, and here we are.
And you did that as a solo dev, like a solo maker of the animations.
Yeah. So as for all the sound engineering, that's all me from start to finish. As for the visuals, there are some character portraits of the characters whenever they talk, with kind of like a speech bubble and everything. So these character portraits have actually been drawn and created by two amazing artists that I have the absolute pleasure to work with. They're called Bryn and Ariane. So these two created these characters, and when it comes to the sprites, I also had a lot of help with that, with some other artists. And for the animations, I've done a lot of them. Everything that's like with the character movements, that's all me. With the speech bubbles and everything, that's all me. But there are some where just too complicated, or it take a lot of time. For example, explosions and bullets and stuff. I got a lot of help from animators that I commissioned for these animations. So yeah.
Okay. And I suppose before we go into that aspect of development, how long ago were the original recordings?
How long were the recordings?
How long ago did you originally like conceptualize and do the initial podcast recordings?
Right. Okay. I honestly, I think maybe my actors will have a better memory of that than me. I know I sent it took me 3 months to write the whole script. It's 9 episodes of approximately 30 minutes each, except with the last one, that's actually almost an hour. So it's a lot of lines, it's a lot of pages, but there's also a lot of characters. And there wasn't any deadlines for the lines in the recordings or whatever. We just kind of went with it. So everyone kind of recorded their lines at all different times, I'd say. Nathan, how long did it take you to do your lines? Approximately.
Yeah, I see. I was as you were, dude. I got you, bro. As you were talking about how long it took, I was trying to figure out how long ago I got cast, and so I checked through my emails, and it was back in July. So it's been months.
Wow.
But yeah, no, it was a good amount of stuff to record. I right. It's like a couple hours of recordings for as far as like the content of the series, right?
Yeah, easily. There is, obviously the main character who is Brian. Almost every episode was, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 minutes of content, and that doesn't count like all the amount of time you'd had to put to have this finalized product.
Oh
The
yeah.
actor who is Jaden Barrows, he put a lot of hours into this, a lot of months, and a lot of work. So,
Yeah, you guys aren't ready for Jaden's performance, by the way.
yeah, he's great.
He's
really wanted
he's
to
an
be
absolute
here.
inspiration. He's amazing. But yeah, he puts like crazy amount of hours into this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And let me see here. So, did you have any prior animation experience before undertaking this project?
Absolutely not. No, and nothing. And that's what's crazy about it. It was scary. It's a big project. It's very ambitious of me to do that, and it was scary. But we're doing good so far. I mean, I think so. I think we're doing great, and it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, but we're all working together to make this happen. But yeah, it's pretty much my first rodeo. Yeah.
Are you concerned about the reception it might get out in the wild?
I mean, is there any filmmaker that isn't? But I'd say yes and no. Um, I think I've mentioned that before, but the audience that scares me the most, or that I'm the most intimidated of, is my cast, because they put so much effort into this. I don't want to. I don't want to disappoint them. I want to make this project as good as possible because their performances are just so incredible. I want to show that. I want everyone to appreciate this show and its characters and everyone bringing it to life. So I'd say impressing my cast is the most important thing for me. And then as for the reception, some people may like it, some people may not, and that's totally okay. It's normal for any kind of show to have a splitted audience. But I hope everyone finds something that they enjoy about it. It has action, it has comedy, it has romance, it's got drama, it's got a lot of stuff, and yeah.
Okay. Got a lot, if nothing else, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And so, take us through the learning process. How did you become acclimated into, animating this series?
So yeah, I'd say I learned as I go. It was I try and I make a mistake and I learn from it. That's pretty much it. It was half and half. Uh, Man, it's hard to say. If I go step by step, so for the script, I didn't have any problems. I'm someone who's really creative, and I've been writing my whole life. I've actually studied in screenwriting and filmmaking at a university in Canada, so it wasn't too much of a problem, and I really enjoy creating a world and really getting into it and bringing these characters to life and make them um, like approachable and fun. When it came to the casting call, I did some casting work before this one. You know, I casted for a couple of short films, on camera short films, and some small, very small projects. That was my biggest one yet. The casting call that I did, I received over 200 auditions, which was unexpected. Uh, that was a big process. It took me almost a month to decide who was going to get cast, who were the characters, and who were the perfect voices for them. And then I created some more characters and added even more voice actors. You know, that was a lot. As for the animation and the sound engineering and everything, no, the sound engineering was fine. I have a big background in editing in general. I did a lot of editing work in college and for other short films. But yeah, the animation was definitely a challenge. It's something I never done. I never did it before, and I'm still learning. You know, I'm still doing better. There's always some moments where I'm editing the show and I realize that I now to the level that I am now, there are some things that I can do better. So I go back at the beginning of the show and rearrange them. So yeah, I'm still learning.
I'd imagine so. Given your delving into this particular space is only recent, from what I understand here. So
Yeah,
I'd imagine it's been a very fruitful learning experience.
yeah, I'd say so. Definitely.
So, what sort of software and tools do you use for your actual animation?
Right. So my animations and all my editing and the sound engineering is done. Everything is done on the Adobe platform. So Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe Audition, and Adobe After Effects. And all my cover arts and panels, I do them on Adobe Photoshop. So everything's Adobe.
Okay. Like, don't really have much to comment there, since, like, honestly,
I mean, it's
you know, it's like,
self-explanatory. You know, it is what it is.
well, it's more, you know, how do I put this?
Mm-hmm.
We have people who do animation, but they are not here.
Like, yeah.
Right.
This week. Like,
it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I can say about my animation is like I've mentioned it very briefly, but it's a frame by frame animation, meaning that's image per image. So if, for example, a character is walking in my show, I need to insert a sprite, so an image of him with his right foot in the front, and then skip to the next frame, and I put his right foot a little further in the back, and then another one, and then another one, and then let's say 6 frames later, it's his left leg that's in the front, and that's when you when you start to play it, it'll go nicely, and it's going to make an animation. But yeah, it's image per image.
That sounds very painstaking.
It is tedious at times, yes, definitely, but it's worth it. You know, I like the result. I think it looks great, and I like applying myself to everything I do, and I just enjoy the precision behind it, since I can control. I have to. I mean, control every single frame, so it's always the final result that I want.
I suppose. I'm guessing that has its pluses and minuses.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it would be much simpler and easier if I had animators and if we could just like make a walking animation and then just loop it, right, or something. That would be much simpler at times, but you do what you can.
Hmm. Yes, and I suppose it saves on the budget.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, doing everything yourself does save on the budget. Not on the time budget, but it saves on the money for sure.
Well, I suppose targeting that particular avenue, how long? Well, I suppose I should ask: are any of the episodes finished at this point in time?
Yeah. So we have episode 1, volume 1, which is going to be releasing in mid-March, March 16th. It's a 30-minute episode, and the rest is still in production, but it's going very well so far. It's going everything's gonna turn out nice. That's pretty much all I can say about it. But yeah, episode 1, mid-March. It's a big one.
I'd imagine so, since it is the not necessarily pilot episode, but it's the first episode of this series.
Funny you should say that. It's actually named pilot because it is. It is the pilot. It's the beginning of this whole world of this whole show, and that's why we're putting so much time into this one, because it's, some people would say, it is the most important, right? It's where everyone will get hooked to this show, and it's what we're working on. So yeah,
Right.
this is why it's so big and it takes time, but it has to be perfect. It has to.
Right. Though I hesitate calling this an actual pilot, because that has an actual designation behind it.
Yeah.
That's getting into some industry speak, though. Because like the pilot is the initial episode that gets created to shop around to networks in order to see if it can be greenlit into a full series. Though from what I understand here, this is already a full series.
Yeah, you're right. In that way, you're absolutely correct.
So like your show is mirroring like a modern like Netflix series or something like that, where you are in development of an entire season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And we have plans for the future. We have plans for the next episodes as well. We got big plans for it. We're all very confident in our product and this show, and we really hope everyone's going to love it. And I know some people will. And yeah, we got big plans. We got big plans. Unfortunately, I wish I could talk about them, but spoilers.
Of course. And where is this series going to premiere?
So the show's going to be premiering on YouTube. It's going to be our main platform. We don't want to put any paywalls behind it. We want everyone to be able to watch it. It won't even have any ads or anything. We really want to be as accessible as possible. So it's going to be premiere on YouTube, on the YouTube channel of Law Productions, was the production company behind it. And yeah.
And I suppose that leads me to a perhaps challenging question.
Mm-hmm.
How are you looking to define success for the Not So Secret Academy?
Man, that's a good question. I'd have to think about my answer. Do you guys have an answer for that, Ty or Nathan?
I think kind of the best way that I would define successful is creating the audience, because obviously your first few episodes, it's rare to just blow up out of nowhere. So I think just establishing a consistent fan base, no matter how big or how small, that it keeps returning for the content, sharing with friends, word of mouth and social media goes a long way. So I think just establishing that base and having people come back weekly to hear whatever you're doing or producing is my definition of success, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. Something along that lines. I think you want it to be something really special to a core group of people, Though, from my perspective, I've already had a blast doing it. Thomas has created an opportunity for not only for us to collaborate with a lot of people that like were already my friends and that I cared about, but with a lot of people that I've looked up to, you know. So already for me, the community that's kind of come out in the production of this project, like, dude, that's a success for me. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, me too, and I'd say so. You know, there's a lot of there's a lot of people who are really excited for this show already, and I think that's already a big success. Obviously, we're hoping the audience never stops growing. We're all super happy to see everyone so excited about what we're creating. 'Cause, you know, there is so much love and passion behind it, and we're all friends behind the scenes. We've all got to know each other, and yeah, I think the chemistry shows. It'll show.
Yeah, actually, Bill Gates tweeted about us last week.
Yeah, he did.
That was unexpected.
No, it was a big surprise for us too, but like we were celebrating, man. You know, we're just such a big fan of his work.
Hmm. Yeah, the computers, man.
Like, anyway, so to further delve into this idea of success, do you need to reach a certain level of like eyeballs or views or any sort of metric in order to continue on with the project, or are you going to continue on with a season 2 regardless of how many people watch it?
Okay. Well, I'd say I don't have a specific milestone or anything. No, I wouldn't say so. We'll just go with the flow. You know, we'll see if it's worth it or not. But we're pretty confident that we're gonna keep going no matter what, because it just, you know, whenever you produce something, whenever you put so much time in something, you gotta believe that it's gonna work. Like you gotta believe in yourself and what you do. You gotta put some confidence into it. And I'm really trying to make this show as good as I can, and so as good as it could be. And yeah, it's just hard to explain. Like the other words I have, I just love what we're creating so much, and I really care for it. So it would be hard to make me drop this, you know. Any milestone, any fan base we have is going to be enough. But let's just hope and fingers crossed for a big audience and a big success. That would be so awesome.
Interesting. And what is your release schedule looking like? Are you dropping episodes weekly?
So for now, we're really focusing on Volume 1. It's going to be dropping in mid-March, like as I've mentioned. As for Volume 2, it'll be not too long after that. We don't know exactly how much time is going to be like in between the episodes, but we're hoping as short as possible. But obviously, we don't want to rush anything either, because this project has a lot of potential, and we want it to be good as possible. So yeah, all I can say is episode 1 is going to be dropping in March, and the rest we shall see, but not too long after.
Okay. And what is the state of episode 1? Like, is that all done and ready to go, or are you still working on it?
I'm still doing some little, you know, touch-ups here and there, but it's basically finished. I'm just being perfectionist. I'm just making it as good as I can. You know, as I've mentioned at the beginning of the interview, I said, you know, I'm still learning, so sometimes I go back to the start of the episode for things and edits I've done like a month ago that I feel I could do better now, and I just redo them. So stuff like that. But no, technically, episode 1 is ready.
Okay. That's good, because you don't want to get into the, I guess for lack of a better term, the perfectionist lockup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
no, that's not gonna happen. And you know, obviously, we don't want to do any crunch either. I don't want to. I came in prepared. You know, I gave myself a good due date. It was pretty far that I wasn't too stressed or nervous, and I didn't rush anything. And I also had to set myself a release date because of what you mentioned. I didn't want to get into the perfectionist locker. I didn't want to just never release this show because I'm so scared of the reception and oh my god, it's not as perfect as I hoped it would.
Right. So, you have to have a product at the end of the day, and it's also you have to have it come out at a consistent rate, or else whatever audience you might be building towards or up won't stick around. Especially in today's world, where there are just so many things that are competing for time and attention.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so addressing the voice actor, is this your first voice acting opportunity, or have you done other work?
Yeah, okay. No, I've been voice acting for a long time now. I've been voice acting for a few years. But it's certainly a really, really exciting role that I'm excited to be a part of. I do a lot of student films are my favorite kind of thing to work on. But I'm in a few video games too, so I've been around the block a little bit. But yeah, so I got a little bit of experience, and I'm still going, baby. You go, Ty.
All right. So no, this is not my first voice acting experience. I've been voice acting for probably I want to say going on 3 years, 3.5, something like that now. And I've had the pleasure to work with a ton of talented and creative artists, Thomas included, just to kind of help bring the project to life. So yeah, I've been around the block with abridges, original content, like the Mandela catalog and stuff like that. And a few games here and there. So yeah.
I suppose I should ask, what games have you all voice acted in?
Okay, so you won't have heard of any of them, but for me, recently, what is it? I had a big little moment for myself. If you've ever heard of Game Theory, Matt Pat played one of the games I was in on his live stream. It's called Five Nights at Freddy's Cleanup Crew. It's a Five Nights at Freddy's fan game. I play a robot. So check that out if you haven't.
They're
The
making
demo's all
fan
out.
games of those that are big enough to actually get.
Oh yeah,
interesting.
it's really strange. The community is built up around Five Nights at Freddy's fan games. They're real high quality. But yeah, if that doesn't say it enough, it's enough to get Matthew Patrick himself to play it. So it's got to be pretty all right.
And then, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's is, I think, a lot bigger than a lot of people think it is.
Yeah, it's big. It's probably the biggest video game franchise that isn't, one of the big ones that is, generally known.
It's one of the bigger independent productions.
Yeah, I was actually about to say, it's probably the biggest video game franchise that's not from a major studio.
Or got bought by a major studio.
That's right, yeah.
Oh yeah, they got a Five Nights at Freddy's anime that they're working on right now.
Yeah.
And a movie, I think.
Oh yeah.
And my cousin works on the VR stuff.
Oh, your cousin works on VR FNAF?
Yes.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, Steelwool Studios.
It's a small world after all.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, tell your cousin I like their work.
I guess next time I speak to him, I'll do that. Anyway, so anything else that might be noteworthy in terms of video game voice acting?
Oh no, just a few small roles here and there in little indie games. Ty probably has a number of cool roles. I know for sure he got someone recently.
So I wouldn't say a number. I have some alright rules. But basically, I've been around the block with like some indie devs and stuff like that. I've just started recently getting into a lot of like visual novel, like Atome games. I just got cast in, like, was able to announce for one called Moon Observatory Iris on Steam, and the update with all of us is coming out soon. And I play like a secondary, like pseudo protagonist that is also a love interest because yes. His name is Lennius. Very cool guy. It was really fun to record. And then I have another indie game that is in production that plays a lot like Doom, and that's all I can say on that.
Okay.
Well, Ty, don't be shy.
Can't
He's probably he's
reveal
under
your card.
NDA.
But yeah, but you also voiced Mario in the Mario movie.
That's Chris Pratt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we all know that's your stage name.
Okay. Anyway, so what attracted you to this project, the Not So Secret Academy, as voice actors?
The money, the fame, the women. It was actually a close friend of mine and Ty's, Jalen Askins. If you look up Jalen Askins VO, he is literally the best voice actor and human being on planet Earth. But he was involved with Thomas on the project. He voices Kyle in the project. And he, I think he recommended me, or he got me in contact with Thomas, and I got to audition, and that's how I got in.
So yeah, basically the same thing. So Jalen had sent me like a message or a DM and was like, "Hey, I have this guy that's gonna reach out to you. So make sure you're like checking out your email." So I originally didn't audition for the character that I got. I was auditioning for a character called Arrow, and then it wasn't quite what he was looking for. And then out of nowhere, he's just like, "All right, I'm gonna bring you on as an extra." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So that works. And then out of nowhere, he drops the talker on me, and then that's the role that I've kind of picked up and ran with. But you can still hear me as some extras every now and then.
And how did VO sessions go?
So we did some. I know there were some like readings and rehearsals and the like. But for the most part, what was really interesting is that a lot of this was all recorded separately. It's interesting, the age of indie projects. A lot of stuff is being recorded. Is being like organized over Discord servers and like Facebook groups and whatever. But yeah, a lot of it was recorded separately. I know a lot of my stuff was. Poor Thomas got assaulted with hours and hours of my unfunny improv. So yeah, that was certainly that. But yeah, a lot of it is just me screaming in my garage.
So much of your improv is actually made it into the show. That's what's so funny about it.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's great. I love it. Keep
I love
doing
you.
it.
Thanks,
Oh,
buddy.
really? Oh, thank you.
And then yeah, I would say auditions were, or not auditions, but recording sessions were fairly interesting because, like Nathan said, a lot of times you do stuff separately. But Thomas always makes sure to give you like some voice direction, whether it's just like a DM, it's like, here's your script, like try and do this like this or this like this. And if there is any criticism, it's always constructive and always kind of like brings you back up to make sure that you get the best performance you can. But I think what is cool about this project specifically is because character interaction is such a huge part of the entire project itself. And for the most part, I know a lot of us just scrolled straight to our lines, so we didn't have any context for anything unless it was like needed context. So I think what a good part about this is whenever we see the episode for the first time, it's kind of like we're going in as a fan or a first time viewer, and we kind of get to experience it with them rather than knowing everything ahead of time other than storyline plots.
Yeah. And what I'm wondering is, how did you, if at all possible, replicate like the bouncing off of dialogue and things like that, since you all recorded separately?
So that came down to a lot of direction. Oh, sorry, boys. Sorry, I got this one. It's just that it came down to a lot of direction. So obviously, I knew they weren't going to record together. We're all remote, and we're all from different parts of the world. And in the script itself, there are a lot of directions in the lines to help them, achieve what we're looking for. And I was always open to as many takes as they possibly can give me. And then I just had to make all this puzzle myself on the editing. I was choosing what line fit with what line, and et cetera, with all the characters, and it's working so well. Because I'm not always with them while they're recording, and I give them a lot of freedom, they make the characters their own, if you know what I mean. By that, it's like they make their own personality and their own interpretation of them, which is why the performances are so authentic and realistic, and they all work well together because of the chemistry that the actors already have in between themselves.
Oh yeah, it's really helpful that Thomas comes from an acting background too. So like, he kind of had really, really specific and clear direction as a director and writer.
Right.
Right. And so, did you have to go through any sort of rewrites when you decided to change the series from an audio project to a animation project?
Yes and no, because I'm still making some changes that my actors don't know about during the show. Yes and no. So here's one thing. It's a little off topic, but at the same time, no, because you're talking about rewrites. Nathan was supposed to be just this one character on the show and didn't have that much screen time, but not really. And I enjoyed his audition and his lines so much that I had to find a way to make his character be there more often, to give him more screen time, because it was golden. It was perfect. And so I did a lot of rewrite for that to make that work. There is a narrator on this show that explains everything that's going on, since obviously at first it was supposed to be an audio series, and then since now it has visuals, I could have a lot of fun with the narrator and make him say some ridiculous things and use the background that you're seeing, so he doesn't have to explain and describe everything, because you actually can't see it. So he's kind of like an audience member that's just having fun watching the show with you. So rewrites like this, I'd say, yeah. But apart from that, no, the story has stayed the same, and the dialogue stayed the same, because they were already pretty good, and the characters are all well structured, and they all have their own very strong and different personalities.
And I suppose that is how a lot of art is created, through a collaborative process.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. Yeah, definitely. It's a community thing. It's a lot of networking and making friends along the way, and it's honestly, we just have such a an amazing group. We're all super lucky to have each other and to have created this small and crazy little family that is called the Not So Secret Academy, and we're all supporting each other in that. Yeah.
Right. So hopefully the Not So Secret Academy finds the success that it's looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, we hope so. We hope so. I hope you'll watch it.
Well, does it have an actual premiere date, or day?
Yes, it'll be March 16th. March 16th will be the premiere of the show. It'll be around 9 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. PST. And
Okay.
yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. It's a Thursday.
And what YouTube channel will it be premiering on?
So it'll be on the YouTube channel of Wild Productions, who is the production company behind this project. It's a company that has been co-founded by me and my other friend Anthony Dion, who's also a filmmaker. So we've been producing the show, and it's a company that helps us with the bills. So yeah, it's going to be on their YouTube channel.
Okay. And I suppose my final question at this point in time is, have you ever given any thoughts or consideration to a crowdfunding campaign to produce the Not So Secret Academy?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about it, and I mean, the only reason I would actually do one is to give a good wage to my actors because they deserve it, and I feel like they worked so hard on this. So I would use it for that. As for the animations, the production, and everything behind it, it's my job. It's my duty to do that, and I've taken it upon myself, and I'm ready to make that sacrifice and put in the hard work. So if I had to receive any type of money, it would go to my actors every single dime.
Aww.
Oh.
It's true though.
Aww.
Oh, come on now.
All right. Right. So I'll see if my colleagues here have any further questions for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Nah, I'm good.
I think I'm good.
All right.
Yeah, I think I have received the picture.
Awesome.
All right then. So I want to once again wish you all luck on this endeavor,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
hopefully, the premiere meets with your expectations.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank you
much.
so
Thanks
much,
for having us
and
on.
thank you for having us. Thank you for reaching out, and I hope you have another great season of Fragments of Silicon on your hands.
You're right, and MSP is well. Right. So the production is the Not So Secret Academy. It is premiering on March 16th at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Exactly. Yeah.
And look for it on the Wild Productions YouTube channel.
Exactly.
Good. Right. We don't have transition music on this program, so we just transition to the next segment, which is entertainment news. And we actually have quite a bit of entertainment news to cover this week.
Yeah, plenty.
I'm like, indeed, where to start? I suppose we should start with frequent target of this program. Not willingly, but they just generate news every other week. That is Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yeah. Good friends, WBD.
Because Warner Brothers Discovery has finally taken the lid off of their DC Universe plans.
Yeah. Or more to the
Wow, how
point,
bad is it?
Or more to the point, James Gunn and Peter Safran have have basically come down from the mountaintop and unveiled the first chapter of their book of DC, which is interesting.
If nothing else. I mean,
if nothing else.
Well, here's the thing. They finally have a plan.
Terrifying.
Because, okay, there have been a few plans that have been floated around the DC universe. But I think it's safe to say that they were working without a plan for a while now.
Yeah, they were. No question. They were basically there was a plan, but the plan was simply this: put out big movies and hope for the best, and then that was the first plan. And then the second plan is, hey, Batman, Superman, get in one movie. Oh wait, here's the Justice League. Get everybody.
No. The initial plan was fast forward to the Avengers.
Basically fourth start.
Yeah, which is
if you will.
Which is an interesting plan. Because, like, here's the thing: if it was just the Trinity, I think that could have worked. Like if it was just Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
It was not.
No, I know, because having three people as a team seems a little dinky, even after like the first Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you have to get people. But we're talking in generalities because the first plan was the Snyderverse, and Snyder needed to do a couple of movies because he had a very specific vision for the DC universe in mind. His fucking vision, which is a very specific vision. Maybe not the one that was all that compatible with all facets of the DC universe, because that's kind of where that's kind of one of the big things the Snyderverse stumbled on. Nobody wanted a fucking dour ass Superman.
Yeah.
Nobody.
They
tried hard to sell that. Nobody wanted to buy it.
Yeah. It's like, and I know Man of Steel did numbers, and so did Batman v Superman, but nobody
Batman
wanted.
v Superman did numbers? I thought that Batman v Superman was a disappointment.
It did numbers, but it didn't do high enough numbers.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Okay. Remember, like Batman v Superman wasn't an outright flop. But here's the thing: like the numbers on the Snyderverse were like never what Warner Brothers was looking for. Now it was a different story with like the first Wonder Woman movie and Aquaman, the first Shazam movie. But by the time they got to Justice League, and that was a mess for other reasons. But that's the history.
Mm.
I'm like, the Snyderverse is done. The last shovels full of dirt have been put upon it by the crash and burn of Black Adam. And I know The Rock wanted that to become the super franchise. I'm like,
certainly did not want a Black Adam disconnected from Shazam, Dwayne. Like you were a passion for this project, yet you didn't know a damn thing about the character.
It's an idea that could have worked. Had
a friend of mine wrote some interesting articles for a comic site on the history of the character of Black Adam and why it's not that.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, here's the thing. Maybe it could have worked had Black Adam been interesting on his own. But because, the idea that a property has to be known, I mean, for fuck's sakes, Marvel has been making billion-dollar franchises out of fucking nobodies for at least a decade, maybe more.
Still, at best, a Black Adam thing is doing a Shadow the Hedgehog game, not only without the precedent of Sonic the Hedgehog, but also without Sonic the Hedgehog in it. Because Black Adam is, at best, Shadow the Hedgehog to Shazam / Captain Marvel.
Yes. And here's the thing, like the first Shazam movie, did $1 billion or something like that? Like
it was, to all understanding, to all that I understand, a relatively good movie with some heart and stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You could have established Black Adam in the actual Shazam movie, but the thing is, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had a particular hard-on for this character. I'm like, I'm not. It's not just a pun. It's like he really wanted this character to be the fucking Thanos of the DC universe. Like, he didn't want him to be Shazam's arch nemesis. He wanted him to be Superman's arch nemesis. Like,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
you could want that. You could want that.
Well,
You could
he
want that. I
tried.
mean, he
He
tried.
tried to do it.
Yeah, you could want that, but yeah, funny things can happen on the way to the form.
Yeah.
Like, audiences not really gravitating to it, or at least not enough. And also the fact that the studio that you want to work with starts to tell you to go buzz off, or not really buzz off, but yeah, you can work on something later.
Well,
You're gonna work on something later. Bye. Get out. Go on.
Well,
Go
keep in
on. Go.
mind-
Go. Go.
keep in mind that Dwayne called in some favors for his Black Adam movie.
Uh-huh. Yeah. 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 Hey Henry, come on, come on, do Superman one more time. We can make you back, get you back in the fold here. All right.
It didn't work.
Oh wait, wait, you don't want me back? Oh. Okay.
How unfortunate.
Yeah. Well,
Again, Henry Cavill is not a bad Superman. He was just in bad Superman movies.
Yes, I suppose that's a good way of putting it. At any rate, all of that is now the past, officially.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because,
It's done. It's done. We got a new slate: Gods and Monsters.
because guess what? The DC playbook is the Marvel playbook.
Uh-huh.
Which,
So they're rushing to a different popular-ish, or at least big-name event that has questionable results when meshed with a larger continuity instead.
if they pull this off, no. Like, if they pull this off with the Marvel playbook, they'll have an actual competitor to the Marvel Universe. Because, look, I know Phase 4 has its fans and all that, but you can't deny that Phase 4 has been a rebuilding season. I mean, even Marvel themselves is considering the first part of the multiverse saga. And that comes with it. That comes with its. I won't say Marvel has become tired like a lot of internet commentators have. Like Marvel is over and all that shit. No, Marvel is still very much a cultural institution.
As
And
long as Marvel still has Disney movie, it's far from over.
Well, I mean, and the Marvel movies are still making bank. But, there was a certain threshold, there was a certain touchstone that they reached with Endgame.
Right.
I mean, and that tends to happen when you start retiring some of your popular characters. Because unlike in comic books, actors gotta do actors have their own careers and also get older.
Yeah, that's the difference between between comics and anything that requires live action people. really. People get old, people get tired, people want to move on. Like, and you can have another Iron Man, but you're not going to have, another Tony Stark Iron Man, at least in current continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other option is you just go flat out rebooting. And Marvel, to their credit, didn't say, let's hit the reboot on this.
Unlike DC, who was rebooted Batman how many times in the last 25 years?
A lot.
I know. If I hear Batman's origin story one more time, I may lose my goddamn mind.
So, on that note, they're not doing that because technically they've already done that. See, they're not throwing out everything that the DCU established, because the next Batman movie is going to be the Batman 2 or the Batman Part 2. So the Batman, the Batman movie we got last year. That's, I guess, the official start for this new DCU plan. I mean, it has to be because technically speaking, that's in this new continuity. And other things that are in this new continuity are Shazam! Fury of the Gods, that are in production right now. We got Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Unfortunately, The Flash is still happening.
Well,
Yeah.
they did kind of never actually do a Flash movie.
Well, unfortunately,
yes, I know Ezra Miller is problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently they've bought in their bullshit, and well.
Yeah, it's also they're in too deep, and they can't get out.
Yep.
Also, they couldn't write off that particular movie. We have to address that because some new stuff has come up. But anyway, so other films here: The Blue Beetle, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Going to be interesting if that's Aquaman's last rodeo, has been rumored.
You know what? I think that if there's any of the original ones that might go for another try, because from what I've heard, apparently they wanted Jason wants to do a third movie to wrap up the character. I think if there's any one of them that might be able to pull that off or do that, I think it might be Jason with Aquaman, because I think he's been a lot less, what the F with everything, and has been more chill and cool with everything. So I think if we're gonna get another with the Snyder era actors, if you want to call them that, I think Jason's probably going to be the one.
Right. And continuing on with the in some ways, DC's plan is actually more ambitious than what Marvel's doing. Because they're looking to do one interconnected continuity. That's not just the films and movies. They want. This is also including animated projects and I think video games, which those are areas Marvel has been deficient in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Marvel animation things are whatever. Seriously, they are whatever they want them to be. they're continuing on the Marvel animated universe from the 90s, or Spider-Man's a freshman in college. They're not designed to tie into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mm-hmm.
And as for video games, well, Marvel doesn't even have a video game division per se. They do,
No.
but it's a licensing.
Yeah. They've
division.
licensed. Yeah. Because Disney gave up on the video game Ghost a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Disney was bad at selling video games.
Yeah.
I'm like, really fucking bad. And I find
They
it
even had some decent ones. They still didn't do well.
Yeah.
Well, I find it funny, for as many worlds as Disney has conquered, the one nut they have yet to crack is video games. Like,
Yeah.
I've
Not to
seen
say they
Bob
haven't
Iger
tried.
speak about video games. They got burned on video games. They lost quite a bit of money.
It's not for lack of trying.
No.
They tried.
They tried.
They tried.
But yeah, here's the thing. Not only does DC's animation division work a lot closer to its sister companies like Warner Brothers Animation, and Cartoon Network Studios. Maybe not them, but certainly Warner Brothers Animation than Marvel Animation does with Disney Animation. Warner Brothers has their own video game division, though I'm not exactly sure if they're going to be able to get like the Suicide Squad game to tie in with this new vision, because that's been in development for years. And the amount of time it takes to make AAA video games these days, they could have like most of the fucking phase done, if not all the phase. Because like they're saying it's taking 5 to 6 years to make a AAA video game now. Video game projects that are starting today won't see release until towards the end of the decade. Like, we're talking like targeting the next generation of hardware, that kind of shit. And that's probably a problem with AAA development.
Right.
But, anyway, my point is, this is ambitious. Even more ambitious than what Marvel's doing. Because there's a danger to having this much interconnectivity.
As the actual comics have found many times.
Right.
Many times.
Yeah.
I was actually going to make a joke about when you're talking about Jason Momoa possibly continuing to be Aquaman or something about, well, it wouldn't be the first time that DC has done a reboot of their entire continuity, except for some characters are still conveniently the previous version. Although it's usually Batman.
Right.
Superman's done it too.
Yeah.
I know, I said usually Batman.
Yeah, usually. But yeah, usually Batman. Hell, once upon a time you got a new Batman in every movie.
True
Yeah,
enough.
But those were still pseudo the same person.
Yeah, still. I mean, you still got a new Batman. You have you clearly have it's the same character, but you have different people. Like you go from one person who had an accent to one who doesn't.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Anyway, and so outside of what was previously announced, we've got Superman Legacy, which is looking to be a from what I've been reading here, it seems to be kind of Smallville 2.0. This movie will show Clark Kent balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing, showcasing Superman as a good hero in a morally complex world.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think they're going with origin story, but it sounds like it's going to be young Superman.
Yeah, it's gonna be young Clark Kent / Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, which is why I say Smallville, because
Although I think I think we've heard about this particular project. This is one of the projects that we've already known about that was being kicked around, because that was like probably the first thing that James Gunn said that they were going to do, which was basically, we're not going to do the origin story, but we're basically going to jump into it to when he's like just coming into adulthood and when he's starting out at the Daily Planet.
Right.
So like right at the start of that. So not Smallville, not another origin story, yet not yet also not Smallville, because they're actually going to be in Metropolis at the Daily Planet. So.
And Supergirl is getting her own movie, Woman of Tomorrow.
This is based off the
Tom King comic.
Yeah, the Tom King run, which basically is, well, it's not the Supergirl that you've seen in the last couple of incarnations on the screen, whether that be in animated form or on that Supergirl show that actually got very popular for a time before. Well, we've seen what happened with the CW.
Yeah. And in terms of lesser known properties getting movies, well,
we got plenty of them here.
Yeah, Swamp Thing is getting another shot at the big time. Like, it's never worked out for Swamp Thing.
No.
And I know the people who read Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing are very rabid about it, but it's not like it hasn't been tried before. Like like there's been a few attempts to make Swamp Thing more mainstream, but it's more either those projects being bad, see the 80s cartoon series, or maybe don't. It's awful. Or the series that they were going to do for DC Direct, and the studio just absolutely lost faith in it.
DC Universe, you mean?
Yeah, DC.
That's what it's called. It was called DC Universe.
Yeah,
but
it was going to be DC Universe, but then it went to the CW, I think.
No, did that go to the CW Seed? Because that was their streaming service for a hot minute that they put Black Lightning on and other things.
Well, yeah, I remember they were going to do that, and they canceled it.
Okay.
And then it aired on the CW. So.
Oh, did it? I don't remember it actually airing on the CW.
It was something weird like that.
Yeah,
or maybe it was the reverse. But I do remember there was a Swamp Thing series.
There was.
The day it was supposed to premiere or something, it got canceled. And anyway, so good luck to Swamp Thing. You're gonna need it.
You'll need it.
Yeah. And also from the depths of Obscura, you've got The Authority, which I got to admit I'm not too familiar with. But I guess, one of DC's marginal successes was making the Suicide Squad mainstream-ish. At least the first movie, as horrible as that was, did bank. I know the second one was considered to be a disappointment. I think that was more because it was not necessarily a Suicide Squad movie. It was a Harley Quinn movie with the Suicide Squad kind of tagging along. But I gotta admit, I'm not too familiar with The Authority. Though, if you're looking for a villain team to bring to the silver screen?
Well,
Can we do the Secret Six?
Yeah, well, this particularly is kind of interesting because this is actually based upon a prior imprint that DC actually bought, which was Wildstorm
It's
Comics.
Wildstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That-
this is basically it's basically a group of anti-heroes that basically replaced another group that was protecting over the world after they got wiped out, and they want to do their own things and whatnot. So it'll be very
Yeah.
interesting to see because, you know, James Gunn loves his colorful casts of characters, and whether
Yeah.
that be heroes or anti-heroes. So
I mean, if people know him, they know him as the Guardians of the Galaxy guy. So
yes, the Guardians of the Galaxy guy, and also a Suicide Squad guy. So, you know, let's give him a third. Let's give him a third team to take a spin with.
yeah, and I believe the animated series that's being developed is Feature Commandos, which is
Another
really
deep cut,
yeah.
and
Like
probably
I said,
it's animated. Being animated is probably for the best.
yeah. Let's see, and so they're doing a prequels Amazon movie called Paradise Lost.
Is it a movie or is it a series? I think it's supposed to be a series, isn't it?
I'm not sure, but it's supposed to be about
Yeah, it's a series.
Hero.
It's a series
I
that's
get
basically going to be to Wonder Woman what Krypton was for Superman, set in the place of origin for a superhero. Well before that superhero was even a concept.
he's talking about deep cuts. You referenced Krypton.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's clearly what they're aiming for here. It's Krypton and Themyscira.
no, it's Game of Thrones.
Well,
Apparently, they're aiming for a Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones is what they want to say it is, but you know, if you know your TC history, it's basically Krypton, but they don't know that. But they do want to reference the more series that everybody knows about, because when you say Krypton, for a lot of people will go, eh? But then when you say Game of Thrones, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's you can't go into a pitch meeting and talk about Krypton to Zaslav, who probably doesn't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a John Peters situation. Like, who the fuck is Kal-El?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, lofty plans at the DCU.
Yeah, there's I think there's one other big one that that was also on that slate, and that's Lanterns.
Right,
which has
the Green
been
Lantern Corps.
right, which has basically been around for a good number of years now, but it looks like they're finally going to do that thing and basically have it be Hal Jordan and James Stewart, you know, doing things. And apparently, for the way it's said in the PR, it looks like that's going to be a key part of this whole thing, strangely enough.
Yeah, and Jon Stewart is also going to be a part of this.
Yeah, it's the Jon Stewart Hal Jordan show. Yeah,
I mean, they
it's gonna
had
be both of them.
Well, at least it saws someone who isn't Hal, even if it isn't my personal favorite, which is definitely biased by when I started reading Green Lantern, but, you know, whatever.
Right.
I think there's a lot of potential in a Green Lantern who's an artist. Which is what Kyle was. Or is, whatever.
Anyway,
yeah.
So over to Paramount, because so Paramount Global is consolidating its streaming services. Or at least
or actually, more to the point, it's consolidating its streaming service with its key premium service,
Right.
which of course means that Showtime is pretty much dead as an independent entity after, what was it? After a run that dated back to 1976. So a good 40 something. So good.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they're turning the channel from Showtime to Paramount Plus with Showtime or something like
Showtime.
that.
That's what they said it is exactly. It's Paramount Plus with Showtime, which is awkward.
People got paid money to think that up.
Yes. A good amount of money, in fact.
Are they the same people who think that who came up with the advertise your light novels by putting an entire plot summary or an entire premise summary on the spine of every volume?
No, it's actually more the guy who thought that who's put Ron Dradek every 30 minutes on MTV. You know, so basically somebody stupid. Because yes, this is another Chris McCarthy production.
I gotta say, I always was under the impression that Showtime had a particular purpose vis-a-vis movies that Paramount Plus would not do, but
Yes, yeah, that's what Showtime is supposed to do. Movies and original shows also. Well, not anymore. Because you see, if you want a guy who will destroy the original purpose of a network and turn it into something that you want it to turn into, regardless of logic and regardless of common sense, the man who you call is Mr. Chris McCarthy. He's the master at it.
oh, was he the CN Real guy?
Oh no. He's the guy who turned Logo, which was MTV Networks' LGBTQ network, basically into TV Land 3 and dump a whole bunch of classic sitcom reruns on there.
At least classic sitcom reruns are not inherently objectionable, unlike some things.
Yeah, but the point of the matter is that you completely screwed up the purpose of the network and made it a waste of channel space.
No, I gotcha.
Right. Next up, what he's basically made TV Land irrelevant because nobody wants to watch sitcom reruns over there anymore. And after a short little bit of time where TV Land tried to do original content, some of it was good, a lot of it wasn't. Basically made that irrelevant.
Yes, original content on my network that exists specifically for the purposes of showing retro. You see why I asked about CN Real, though, right?
Right, I get it. Yes,
it's the same kind of. Well, that's entirely the opposite of what this was for, but.
Oh, absolutely. And he did the same thing at VH1 and the same thing at MTV. And now,
in fairness, MTV's original purpose is it had a purpose longer than I think it lasted. But now that YouTube exists, its original purpose is entirely.
Let me push back. He undermined the second purpose for MTV.
Oh,
not the first. The music videos. The second one, which was things that the youth would be talking about all the time. The youth don't talk about MTV anymore, right?
No.
Right, exactly. So that's the second iteration. The first iteration, the music videos, that was dead a long time ago. It's not the second iteration is now irrelevant. It's now an irrelevant waste of space for everybody. Nobody cares about MTV anymore. Other than the logo and the brand. That's it. Now Showtime is now irrelevant because of corporate decision that Chris McCarthy is leading. And tune in within the next year or so when Comedy Central joins the list.
I mean,
what are they going to do? Turn it into another friggin' live crime channel or something?
No,
it's all South Park and Daily Show. Maybe?
Yeah, but those are still at least allegedly funny.
Hold on. What I mean by that is, y'all remember when a couple of months ago there was this big thing about how he wanted to do adult animation on there, wanted to basically beat Adult Swim.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then a funny thing happened on the way to the forum, and Beavis and Butthead, which was originally supposed to, the Beavis and Butthead reboot, originally supposed to air on Comedy Central, was moved to Paramount Plus, is now rerunning on Comedy Central. That Darius spinoff was supposed to be a series on Comedy Central. Now it's going to be a movie on Paramount Plus. So that whole thing probably just got undermined big time. Trevor Noah just left The Daily Show, and this is not the time for a rebuild of that program. And outside of primetime, Comedy Central is The Office, Seinfeld, and whatever they have on their books. Once The Daily Show, once whatever they decide to do with The Daily Show does not pan out, and after that, and whenever South Park decides to stop doing new content and just go on reruns and live off of reruns for Kingdom Come, which could come at any time, who knows? What do you have left? Exactly. So yeah, that'll happen within the next couple of years. Comedy Central will join the illustrious list of networks that Chris McCarthy has turned into a relevant channel space. At this point, we should all be thankful that the only places that he probably can't touch are Nickelodeon and BET. So there you go.
Right,
Yes,
and
yes, you can tell that it inspires the man.
yeah, right, and I suppose finally we need to talk about Netflix because they finally unveiled their woefully misguided anti-password sharing plan.
Arr, piracy is coming back, ye mateys. Arr.
I'm like, the long and short of it is you have to log in your devices to Netflix to your home Wi-Fi network every 31 days, or it's gonna block your device.
Well,
I'm like,
well, actually, it's more at least once every 31 days.
It's gonna be once because, like, I guarantee you, Netflix is gonna end this sooner rather than later.
Right. Like, and here's the best part about this: the fact that 31 days. Like, if you go outside of there and you log in, you need to get a special code in order to get into your account for 7 days. Like, if you go out somewhere for more than a week, you're fucked.
And I'm like,
that is not going to last.
This just reeks of desperation.
Yes, and it also is something that is guaranteed to lead to an increase in piracy.
Maybe not. I know people have been talking about piracy, but I think that ignores the fact that there are like 100,000 other streaming services that exist in the universe now.
Well, true, but with Netflix, a lot of their stuff is exclusive to them. Like, you can't find it anywhere else.
Okay, fair enough on that front. I'm just saying, like, if people cancel, they might end up going to the Disney bundle full time or something like that as well.
Well, yeah, well, true, but again, the problem is that when it comes to Netflix content that is specific to Netflix, you won't be able to find it on that other service. And once you leave Netflix, in order to see that content, it's either get back into Netflix and that nonsense, or arg. That's the point. Like, yes, there are 1,000 million different streaming services all across the board, but the problem is that with all of these services, especially more recently, they're becoming penned off. Like, a lot of the stuff on one streaming service is exclusive to that service. Like, and if you leave that,
it's just further symptoms of the fact that the originally streaming services reduced piracy because it was more convenient to just pay a little bit of money for a streaming service than it was to find a good place to download the thing and download the. And the problem is that now that they're all sectioned off and doing their own things and trying to come up with ways to keep people from like sharing things, that's stopping to be the case so much.
Yeah,
which is not good for people who liked that effect.
Right, and also, a lot of these streaming services have upped their price recently to the point
just
where,
did that.
yeah, Peacock is everybody's raising their prices, and eventually there comes a point where when you have all of these streaming services, that money adds up to the point where one of the biggest reasons why streaming was such a lucrative opportunity was because of the fact that, yes, you could pay X amount of money to get all of this content. Now you got to pay X amount of money here, Y amount of money there, Z amount of money here, and eventually gets to the point where, I wanted to cut the cord to make it cheaper. It's not as cheap to be as it's not cheaper at all to cord cut anymore. So why bother? Which is probably the point of all of this in the end of the day. But
well, the pandemic happened and everyone, just decided at once, I'm going to launch my streaming platform.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the studios in Hollywood decided not to capitalize it at all, and they're wondering what happened.
Streaming platforms is something that the universe can support an infinite supply of, right?
Yeah, right.
well, sure. I mean, never mind those money pits over there.
Mm.
Anyway, I think that'll about do it for this week.
Yeah, it's a good point to stop.
Yeah, I'm like, well, here's the thing. Since Mac's not here to do his usual wrap up, and I'm presuming he's going to be back at his, the retro.
Yes, he may or may not be streaming tomorrow night at late o'clock because it depends on whether or not. If he does, I'm sure he would love it if you would come and watch him. But I can't make any promises on account of who knows. I think he would be intending to, or he would have already said something about I need to take the whole week. But
yeah,
again, intent also isn't a magic bullet here.
Right.
Yeah, just stay tuned to his social media platforms, and you'll find out. And also to his Twitch channel and our usual home.
Yeah,
here on Twitch. So
yeah. I mean, who knows when this episode gets uploaded, if ever, to the to his channel. He still hasn't done the Saber Spark one, and he might never.
Which I'm sure Saber Spark is thrilled about, which is kind of a shame because
he was
a good guest.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He hopefully we can get that.
Dear Saber Spark, if you are listening to this, we apologize for Mac.
Yeah. We apologize for him because you see, life happens.
Well, yeah, he might not have done that show entirely sober. Apparently, I don't know, he apparently he has been dealing with a bit of alcoholism.
Oh boy! Yeah. Oh great! Yeah.
But he seems to be getting treatment for that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Anyway.
Anyhow.
So
moving onward.
Yeah, coming up next week on the Moonhawk Studios Presents show. Get the right window open here. Hang on. That's not it. Right, so coming up on February 8th, episode 18, we'll be having Edward DeCastro of Lost Between Worlds Comics. His name's Edwin. He's the writer and creator of Lost Between Worlds. If you like thriller, action, and dark fantasy genres, apocalyptic stories, or badass leading ladies, check this out. So, more on that next week. And until then, stay safe.